Mode.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Mental Prep webinar. This is Christina. Sarah had to run out, so I will be hosting for you today. We have Coach Earl on here. He's going to run through how to get yourself mentally prepared for this race that's coming up. Just a few reminders. Last night we had a call night, and we just called to check in with everyone, see how everything's going, where you're at. Prepare you for the logistics side of the weekend. If you haven't heard from us yet, we will be reaching out tonight as well, and definitely feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email anytime. One more reminder, if you haven't filled out that race weekend survey, please do that. Just gives us a better idea of where you'll be and what you have planned for the weekend. All right, I think that is all the reminders I have for you so far. Before I let Earl start, I want to encourage everyone to please ask questions. This is a great opportunity for you to interact with us and to get any of those last-minute questions out there that might pop up. So definitely use that chat box, and I'll be answering questions as they come along, and we'll also get to them at the end of the broadcast.
Sounds like fun. If you guys want, one of the things that we do encourage is to test out the question box or the chat box now and just kind of post a little note, say hello, and that way we know that we're getting to you and that we're getting some feedback. It's always such a strange thing to sit on these webinars because we have it muted so that the recording is clean, so it's kind of like I feel like I'm talking to myself sometimes. So please make me feel like you're out there and listening. It makes it a little bit more fun as we go through it. Hello, John Orton. Thank you. That was nice. John is in Arizona. I was a little afraid, John, that you were thinking the race was this weekend with all of your posts lately. But we are entering into the last little bit. So as we go, I'm going to get things rolling. I want to make sure that Christina presses the record button before we get started. I can see it glares at me, and I've done it where I've not recorded it and gone through a whole presentation before. So we'll make sure we record things, and then I think I'll take over the screen and we'll go through our mental prep presentation. Sound like fun?
Sounds like fun to me. I think we are recording. Can you see it on your end?
It's a button that says record.
Okay, it should. It says stop recording on my end, so we should be good.
Okay, and then now, are you looking at my screen? Do you want to throw it to? Let's see. You want to throw it to my screen? Okay, we'll make this attendee the presenter. That's me. So I'm going to do show my screen. All right, are you looking at my screen now?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, let's get started. I know some people might join us a little bit late, but again, like I said, if you have questions, go forward. Please feel free to ask them. Also, if you have questions about general things, like Christina said, as far as logistics for the weekend, or questions about just general training stuff that you're getting ready for, please write them down. We'll go through kind of a Q&A at the end. And if we have those questions already in a queue, it helps us kind of roll through it really, really quickly. So let me get things started here. And Christina, if there's any issues as far as seeing my screen, just let me know. And let's get started here. Here we go. So the mental prep. We're at this stage where you guys have 10 days till race day. You are not, unfortunately, you're not going to get any fitter. We're not going to get any stronger per se, but what we're going to do is we're going to get more ready to race. And physically, we're doing that through some of the taper workouts that you're doing and a lot of focus on the taper efforts and pacing. And we've also had you guys doing things each week, asking you on Mondays to kind of start putting together things like your nutrition plan and your logistics plans and all of the things that kind of come up on race day. And I can't say enough that having a list and being organized is such a huge relief when you sit down next week and you get ready to walk out the door. So I know those things are happening. The other piece that I know many of you are looking at is the mental prep. So a lot of the nerves and the energy, and as we take away some of the workouts that help you burn off that nervous energy, it tends to build up and build up and build up. So what we want to do is go through today and talk about some of the ways you can harness that energy without working out and tiring your body, and use that energy as a tool on race day, because nervousness and not necessarily anxiety, but nervousness is simply energy. And if you can harness that energy, it can be a really powerful part of your race day. So we're going to go through this, mental prep, tricks, and trials. And let's get started here. So the question, and I'm sure you're all getting it, are you ready? Are you ready to race? Are you ready for your Ironman? Everywhere you go, people are asking it, and especially for all of you guys who have done such an amazing job raising money, you have all these donors that have been, your support all year, and they're starting to say, are you ready? Are you ready to race? And the big question is, how do you answer that? What do you say when somebody says, are you ready? And my answer is very simple. Yes, absolutely. And even if you don't believe it, that's your answer. You say, absolutely, I am ready to race an Ironman. No matter how the day goes, you should be ready to go and swim 2.4 miles, ride 112 miles, run 26.2, and cross that finish line. And you need to start saying that to every single person that asks you that question. Even if you don't believe it today, if you say that 5 times today to different people, by the time you've said it that 5th time, you're going to start to convince yourself. Always remember the power of your words. When you say things, you can make them come true. And, that's a powerful tool to be able to answer that question. Are you ready? Yes, I absolutely am ready to race an Ironman. Some of the things we think about when we think about the Ironman distance, we talk about triathlons versus Ironmans. A lot of you have done triathlons in the past. You've done running races, you've done bike races, you've done swim races, whatever it's been. And we look at the definition as, a triathlon of the 3 sports of swimming, biking, and running. Racing an Ironman is your ability to problem solve throughout a long day of swimming, biking, and running. You are going to be out there anywhere from 8 hours for you guys that are planning to win it to 17 hours for those of you that want that perfect shot at the end of the day. This is a long day. So if you take out the swimming, biking, and running and you think about how would you go about a 17-hour day, it's just like any other day of the week. You problem solve your way through every day. You figure your way out through traffic in the morning to work. You figure your way out through different situations at home and work, and you problem solve. And those same skills come into play on race day. They're just in a different stage. So what we want to do is we want to solve for your Ironman. And if you go into it with the anticipation that you are going to face challenges all day, and knowing that your goal is not necessarily just to swim, bike, and run, but to solve for those challenges, you put yourself in a great position to produce great results. There's a great quote from Thomas Jefferson here at the bottom that says, nothing can stop the man or woman with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude. So everybody has a different way to prepare themselves and to get themselves to that point of having the right mental attitude. And as we go forward, we'll talk about it. And what I want you guys to think is, I'm not here to tell you what your mental attitude is going to be. I apologize for the sirens in the background. It's not to tell you what your mental attitude is going to be, but it's just have you start to create and craft your own mental attitude. What are the things that are going to get you to that finish line in the right place? Joe Friel, who's a very well-known triathlon coach and someone that I've used a lot of his practices over the years, he has a great quote here. It says, the mental aspect is an area that many athletes can improve on. There are many aspects of sports psychology, the most important of which are confidence, motivation, concentration, and relaxation. And these are 4 really strong tenets that we like to kind of focus on to start to build that race day mental attitude. Confidence is one of the first. Confidence is such an important part. It's the belief in oneself and one's powers or abilities. Self-confidence, self-reliance, assurance, these are your Webster's Dictionary definitions. But when we look for confidence, it's not always that easy to find. And as you guys are preparing yourselves for this race day, you actually have a tremendous opportunity to look back on a year of training and to find that confidence. Your training that you've done, you guys have been at this for 10 months or more. You have set goals for yourselves. You have conquered workouts that you didn't think you could. You have key workouts that you've successfully executed. And those are things that you can look back on and look through your training guides and review the things that you've done and see how far you've come. And that's a great way to kind of start to build up that reality that, you know what, of the workouts that I've done since I started, the Ironman actually is not the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge was just getting started. If you think about how hard some of those first few runs were that you did and how exhausted you were, or how hard that first long ride was, you weren't as prepared for those rides as you are for an Ironman, but you got through those rides. You successfully executed them, and then you went longer, or you went further, or you went faster. So starting to look at those successes that you've had through your training is a great way to start to kind of build that confidence up. We also want to look at the skills that you have. Everybody has different skills. Some of you are super swimmers. Some of you guys are great cyclists. Some of you are great problem solvers. Some of you are great logistics people. My wife is the super logistics person. She has a spreadsheet for everything she does. And she would go to races so confident because she just knew what was happening next. She had a great plan, and it was a great way to go. So it's identifying the skills that aren't necessarily swim, bike, or run that you can fall back on and rely on, like knowing your body, knowing yourself, knowing your limits. Those types of things become really important parts of how you get through your race day. And then the next piece of it is the really important thing is knowing your plan. And when we talk about plans, we talk about the plans that are not necessarily the race day plan, but it's the plan that starts now. It's the plan that you've written out of how are you getting there, how are you planning your weekend, how are you planning the logistics with family and friends. Smile Train has done a great job of providing an itinerary that helps you kind of craft a plan around that and giving you the skeleton for that you can then build off of and start to write down that plan. And ultimately, I was a swimmer in college, and we were always going for that like big jump, in times, and that big opportunity where you had that like blowout workout. And an Ironman is very different. You should know to within 15 minutes what your time is going to be on that race course. Like you guys should have an idea. There's no surprises. You should know that the swim is going to take me approximately this long, the bike is going to take me approximately that long, and the run is going to take me this long. And you should be able to look at it and say, okay, so I've got a 14-hour day ahead of me. Let's start there, and then start to build back. How are you going to get through it? So starting to devise those plans and put these things down on paper is another way to build that confidence. Knowing what you're getting into is really key. The next thing that Joe Friel talks about is motivation. Motivation to incite or impel, which are nice, simple definitions. Where you can find motivation is the why, the who, and the goals. One of the beauties of doing this race with an organization like Smile Train is the motivation is right there all weekend. What you have done and accomplished already to help these kids and help these families is a huge motivation. You can be out there on the course and saying to yourself, I don't know if I can keep going. It's like, well, of course you can keep going. Look what you've done already. Look who you're doing this for. I always love to see, and I saw this at the camp, we saw people who have pictures of loved ones that are taped to their bikes. We see people who have inspirational notes that they get in their special needs bags. There's always a reason. This is why Ironman has become so impressive as a brand. We all watch that Ironman broadcast, and you guys are all going to watch it this weekend, I'm sure, on Saturday. and you see those stories of, you know, why people do this and what gets them going. And for you, who signed up for this race many, many months ago, you signed up for a reason. You signed up because you were motivated to accomplish a goal or do something for a reason. And that reason, that thing that you signed up with, that is still so valid. It is still such an important piece. And although many months have changed and life has changed, you can still go back to that motivation and say, this is why I did this, and this is why I'm here, and, you know, I'm here for this reason, and I want to be here because I want to finish this. I want to get through this because of the goals or the who or the why that I've set up. I like to think of this as, you know, where places you can find that. You know, you can find it in writing. You can write it down. You know, a lot of people, like I said, will write down like the motivation, write it on their hands. They write a name on their wrist on race day. They write a note in their transition bags to remind them of what they're there for. They post a picture on their bike to get them motivated. You know, talking about it, telling people why. You know, I love to see the posts that people put out on Facebook. You know, it's like telling the world why you're doing this. There's nothing more powerful than putting it out there that I'm doing this for this reason. Once you say it out loud, it becomes very true. And the other thing is to read things. You know, read about the ways that other people have been motivated for Ironman. Read about, you know, read the posts of your teammates. You know, the things that have compelled them to do this and gotten them motivated. And write one. If you've got a great motivation, post it on Facebook in that Smile Train team page, and, you know, tell people, like, this is why I'm doing it. You know, and let people get behind your cause and propel you forward. It's a very powerful tool. The next one is concentration. I love this kid. It reminds me of my son in school every day, or, well, it kind of concerns me that might be him at school every day. You know, concentration is a key factor. You know, it's the exclusive attention to one object, a close mental application. Where you can find that is in your goals and on the course, and how you can find it. Now, one of the things that happens on race day is, again, it's a 17-hour day. Now, usually in our 17-hour work life, you know, we have the opportunity to take a coffee break, to walk outside and get some fresh air, or even to go and do a workout to kind of get our mind settled somewhere else. You know, on that race day, and especially on a course like Arizona, where it's a lot of long flat riding and a lot of long flat running, you know, motivation and concentration can slip. And some of you will use things like power meters and heart rate meters to kind of keep you focused and concentrated, which is a fantastic way to do it. But if you find yourself and identify, you know, things that times that you feel like you're slipping out of your concentration, you need to bring yourself back into the moment. There's a great book called Flow about being in the moment, and it's something that comes through in a lot of sports organizations, and we use it with a lot of the athletes that I coach. And it's that idea of focusing on executing a specific task and keeping yourself in that moment. You know, don't be thinking 20 miles down the road. Don't be thinking, what's going to happen when I get to the run, when you're only 20 miles into the bike ride. You know, focus on the moment. Execute perfect pedal strokes. Stay in your aero bars. And when you feel yourself needing to change or feeling like that concentration starts to wane, you know, simple tools that you can go to are things like counting. In swimming, you know, counting your strokes is such a key element to getting over the fears and the challenges of being in that whirlpool of people. You can think about what's going to happen, or you can focus on what you're doing. And for everyone out there that is trained for this race, if you focus on what you're doing, this is what you're trained for. You're trained to swim, bike, and run. You're trained to swim in that open water. And by executing things like counting 20 strokes, you can bring yourself right back to executing and doing it the way you're supposed to do it. I did a swim race once where I miscounted, or I missed one of the markers, and I misjudged how far out I was, so I started to go for the finish line way too soon, and I turned a corner and realized I had another 800 yards to go, and I counted 250 strokes consecutively just to kind of get myself back on track. And it helped. You know, I stopped thinking that, oh my gosh, I have another 600 yards or I have to go this much further. And what I did is I focused on just that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I got myself into a rhythm. And the rhythm saved me that day. It got me back. I wasn't thinking about how awful I felt. I wasn't thinking about anything but those numbers. And that can often be the case. You know, when the wind kicks up on Beeline Highway, you can sit there and you can think about, oh my gosh, this wind is killing me. Or you can say, I'm just going to count pedal strokes until the wind lets up. And if I count those pedal strokes, it may take me 10 pedal strokes to get through that wind, or it may take me 20, or it may take me 100. But if I count them, by the time I'm done counting, you know, I've executed pedal strokes, I've moved my body forward, I'm making my way through the course, and the wind has died down a little bit. Another way to do it is, you know, we talk about chasing rabbits, and this is something I always like to see on the run course, because the Ironman run course is often more like less like a run race and more like you know, a zombie movie where everybody's just moving very slowly. People are walking, people are talking, people have lost their focus and their concentration. And you know, as somebody who is an athlete and somebody who is in a race, you know, it gives you the opportunity to pass people, you know, and not to be like a super competitive person. I don't care if you're a 17-hour Ironman or a 10-hour Ironman, you know, passing people on the course is motivating. So rather than letting yourself fall into the zombie walk and just walking along with everybody else, count the number of people that you're passing. You can smile at them, you can pat them on the back, you can say, hey, come on, run with me, you can be a good sport about it, but count those rabbits that you're chasing. And if it's happening to you on the bike course, you can do the same thing. We used to chase arrow helmets. When arrow helmets weren't everywhere, we used to chase everybody who had an arrow helmet. And my friends and I would come back with a tally of who passed the most arrow helmets on the race course. But it's another tool to kind of keep you in that moment of, you know, if I run well, even if I'm not running the pace I want to, if I'm still running, I'm still passing people. And you kind of chase those rabbits down the course. Other things that work are mantras. You know, a lot of people have great mantras. You know, a military run cadence is there for a reason. You know, if you listen to some of those run cadences of the military, they're so powerful and they're so motivating because you can fall into that mantra and just keep moving. And again, it keeps you distracted and takes you away from whatever you're thinking as far as how many more miles you have to go or what kind of pain or what kind of discomfort you're in. And you focus on that mantra. And you know, find your mantra. That's something I would really encourage everybody to do. You know, it's something short and sweet that can get you through the day. Can really make it work. You know, I've used mantras. I've, you know, repeated my children's names. I've, you know, had songs in my head. But something that's just easy to repeat over and over again can be a really great distraction from the pain that you're in or the challenge that you're facing at that time. The other piece of the puzzle that is probably the last thing in your minds right now is relaxation, and you know, Joe Friel talks about that, and what we say there is relaxation is the abatement or relief from bodily or mental work, effort, and application. You're not going to find that on race day. You are not going to be able to relax. There is no abatement or relief from bodily or mental work. You are working the whole time, and that is the whole point of the day. It's to challenge you that way. But what you do want to do is you want to find that in the days leading up. You know, this is my warning on the relaxation thing is that a lot of people go into race day and they're tapered and they're fit and they feel great and they think that this is going to be easy. They think, oh, well, I'm here for an easy day. I'm ready. And that means it's going to be a long, easy day. And that's not the case. I mean, the case is that this is a challenge. You signed up for this. You put yourself out there. You want to work hard. You don't want to walk across that finish line, and you don't want to come across it feeling like you haven't given your all. So you're seeking a challenge on race day. You know, that is what you're there for. You're seeking to push yourself. You're seeking the opportunity to open up the door to something that you never thought you were capable of. So in the days leading up to that, you need to prepare for that by finding relaxation. You know, finding a place where you can sit quietly, you know, without your family and without all of the distractions, and just relax. Take your mind off it. You know, rent a movie, go to the movies, get away from the race expo and all the hype and all the excitement, and find some peace and quiet. It's a really important part of it. And even now in the week leading up, you know, each day finding some time to just read a book, do things that have nothing to do with Ironman to really distract you and keep your mind kind of fresh. And what you're doing is every time you find that little piece, whether it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes of relaxation, it's like putting things in the bank. Every bit of relaxation you put in the bank in the week leading up gives you the opportunity to push yourself further on race day, and that's important. Places to find relaxation, are things like your schedule. Schedule it in. Schedule it in now. Schedule in 30 minutes, whether it's sitting in a sauna at the gym, or finding a nice quiet moment at home, or sitting on the back porch and just doing nothing for a few minutes every day, just to kind of give your body that moment of just complete and total rest. And it's hard to find. Trust me, everything is trying to rush into your mind, and all the plans and all the things that you've got to do. And this kind of works our way down into things like in your plan and in your pacing schedule. By having plans done now with all the logistics and all those things, you'll recognize and you'll be able to see those moments where you can take them. And it's a really important part of what you do. Now, the other piece of the relaxation puzzle is visualization. I'm a huge proponent of visualization. It's a sports psychology thing that we've done for years, and having a moment to kind of literally go through step by step your race day. Lay down, whether you're doing it before you lay down to sleep at night, whether you do it over cup of coffee in the morning, but whatever it is, it's that idea of visualizing your successful execution of race day. And don't hold any, be realistic, but be successful. Don't visualize yourself freaking out in the swim. Visualize yourself conquering the swim. Visualize yourself entering the water. See it from every aspect. See yourself standing in the line of people, walking down the steps, entering the water, putting your goggles on your head, entering the water, getting in, and stroke by stroke, those first 30 strokes that set you up for your race. Take yourself through those things and go through it step by step. It takes time. But if you think about it, it's the one opportunity you have to kind of practice your race. Again, if the mental part of this race is such a huge part of it, is such a big thing, practicing that and visualizing yourself going through these motions and executing perfectly your race, it's so very important. So those are your relaxations. So those are kind of the 4 tenets of preparing yourself from a sports psychology standpoint for a race of this magnitude. So I do encourage you guys to kind of go through those things, make your list, and write out the plan that works for you based on these things. And you can really kind of write those things down and kind of write some notes to yourself of how it works. Now, as we head into the race week, which is only a couple of days away. So on Monday we're in race week, depending on how you look at it. But here's some of the things, a quick schedule of your mental anguish, I like to call this. These are all the things that you will face, the challenges you're going to face. So here's some of the things. So the question, so are you ready? We've covered this one already. The answer is very simple. Yes, I am. Said in a well, of course I am tone. Of course I'm ready for an Ironman. I've been training for 10 months. How could I not be ready for it? The question that you're going to get from a lot of people, so what's your goal? And now this goes into what we said earlier. The answer is I'm going to swim this time, I'm going to ride this time, I'm going to run this time. And say it with confidence. If you don't say it with confidence, you've already left the door open for doubt. And as soon as you let the doubt in, it's going to start to cloud your judgment, and you're going to start to renege on your plan. If you say, well, I'd like to swim 120, but you never know. It's like, no, I'm capable of swimming a 120. I'm capable of riding 6 hours. I'm capable of running 4 hours. So say those things. That's my goal. And you know what's going to happen on race day? You're going to do it. And if you're capable of doing it, but if you don't do it, then there's got to be a reason. Maybe you got a flat tire, maybe you got this, maybe you got that. That's out of your control. So, when you answer these questions, this is what's going to happen on race day. And the things that are out of your control, they are simply out of your control. You can't control the weather. You can't control flat tires. You can't do any of that. You can't control other competitors. You can control what you're going to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to swim, bike, and run these times. And then if something gets in the way of that, so be it. You'll get over it, and you'll keep moving forward. The other situation we see a lot of times as we head into taper is the I feel cranky, sore, and out of shape, which is always it's an almost comical thing because you're like, how could you possibly feel out of shape? Look at what you've done to your body over the past couple months. The reality is you are in the best shape of your life, but you slowed your training pace a little bit. So your body is doing a ton of work rebuilding and making you stronger for race day. That's why you feel funny. I used to use the analogy of, if you think about the taper, what happens in taper mode is, you've been working, and what you've done through all of this training is you've broken your body down to its bare essentials. It's fit, it's strong, your body is ready to go. But then when you start to rest it, what you're doing is, I always like to think of it as like there's a team of tiny little construction people that are now going crazy in your body. They're on a deadline and they're working really hard, and what they're doing is they're rebuilding all of that muscle. They're making your lungs stronger. They're putting them back together. They're making your heart stronger. The construction crew is hard at work, putting in all these little support structures in your body. And as they go to work, they're making your body feel a little bit funny. And it's because you're off your routine, because the 2-hour ride that you did is now an hour ride, so you've suddenly got time on your hands. Because you're getting a little bit more sleep, but you're not as tired as you should be or as how you felt over the past couple of months. So your body's going to feel a little bit funny. But if you think about it from the positive light of that funny feeling means that you're getting stronger and you're getting closer to your race form, that's a pretty excellent thing. So put everything in a positive light. And the other situation, which is always something that's a challenge, is you have so much to do. Let's be honest, we're not professional triathletes. We work, you have jobs, you have families, you have things to do. So not only do you now have to prepare for this big race, finish your fundraising, get everything done, fill out your forms, pack your bags, all that stuff, you also have to make sure that your family's done, your work is done, and you have to prepare to be away from work for that amount of time. So, as I said, and I'll say it over and over and over again, and I'll say it every day this leading up to race day, stick to your schedule. Map out your to-do items a week in advance, map out the things that you have to be done at work, who can take over for them, all those things. Be the super efficient person that you've always wanted to be and make it happen. You want to be the best version of you for the next week, so you want to make sure that you are on top of all those things now, get that schedule written out, put all those things in place, and really make sure that it's all done. And I know some of that type of stuff sounds like very logistical type of things, but it's such a huge part of your mental prep, because when that is done, the feeling of success there is huge. And it opens up the door for you to do all of the things that we talked about earlier. Now, we know that on Saturday night, you're going to be sitting there getting ready to race, and you're going to have that I can't sleep feeling. You've all heard this, I'm sure, but you're not going to sleep. Just face it. Saturday night is not your sleep night. That means that your body is preparing itself for something big. It's not a bad thing. You're not going to suffer from lack of sleep on Saturday night, I'll be honest. You'll get a little bit. It's part of the deal. It's the story that you tell. You're going to say, we're going to sit around on the week after when you're celebrating your Ironman, you're carrying your medal around, and people are going to ask, how's the race? And you'll be like, oh, guys, the night before I didn't sleep at all. It was unbelievable. So use the time. Like if you're going to be up, use the time. By this time, all your bags are packed, your bike is racked, everything's done. You can't do anything to change the day. All you can do is practice that visualization again. Go through it again in your head. Practice those things. What we do encourage, though, is, these 10 days leading up, add sleep. Just like the relaxation, bank some of your sleep. The goal of sleep is to help your body recover and to get rested and go into race day rested. It's not something that, goes away day to day. You can build on it. So if you get good sleep in the week leading up, and you can get a good night's sleep on Friday night and sleep in on Saturday morning, do it. Take advantage of it and bank some of that sleep. The next situation is the I have a nervous belly, which everyone does. I think everybody does. And this is my own personal thing. Like, I think I know where every porta-john at every race is prior. I know where the mile 1 porta-johns are. I know where the hidden porta-johns are. It's just my thing. But it works for me because I go in with that confidence of when I got to go, I'll find a spot. Get to transition early and head to the race start before the lines start to build for the porta-johns. The other great thing for you guys is that you are a Smile Train athlete and you have personal porta-johns. So we have 2 porta-johns that are right near the swim start that are for our athletes only. And I promise you I won't get in there before you and throw you off. But get into the porta-john at the race start. It's there for you. It's another way to build some confidence. And then the other thing that's going through your race the night before is, all the little things. So, we talk about visualization. What invariably happens when you're starting to visualize that perfect race is, the crazy thoughts start to come in. You're like, oh my gosh, well, what if it rains? Well, then what do I do? And all of a sudden we're off on a tangent in our visualization. Oh my gosh, what if a bear runs out on the course? Which actually happened in Whistler. What if the person in front of me decides to pee on the bike and I have to, get out of the way? If those things creep into your visualization, welcome them in and solve them. Again, and we go back to our original thought, which is you're problem solving. You're not racing, you're problem solving. And when you solve all those problems, you have a great race. So you think of the things that you can control and focus on those things and execute well on those. And you let go of the things that you can't, because you can't control the weather, you can't control the people around you. So focus on, again, getting back to executing what you know how to execute. One of the things that we talk about a lot, with athletes, here at Tailwind is that once you start moving, once your body hits that water, you're in familiar territory. You're in a place that you know and you recognize, and you've done 1,000 times. But the most important thing and the biggest challenge is the thing that you can't practice is these situations, these 3 or 4 days before the race, where you're dealing with logistics. You can't practice that. Unless you've been through it 1,000 times. I still get nervous, and I still go through these kind of thoughts, before race day. I know how to deal with them now, so I'm a little bit better practiced at it, but you still have that stuff. So you're not practiced in that. So just kind of understand that you're going to be it's going to be a little hectic, it's going to be a little bit crazy, and let it happen. But be confident that once your body starts moving, that's what you know how to do. Once you walk out that door that morning, once you go down those steps into that water, you're in your zone. You're in your place. This is what you're ready for, and you're going to own it. And if you go in there knowing that this is your time and this is your opportunity to have a great day, all the stuff and all the hecticness that is part of the pre-race week, it's all going to disappear. Worrying about things the day before is going to happen. You're going to worry about it. But once you get moving, you're going to go. We had a girl here who went down to race Ironman Louisville. And it was her first Ironman. She's an elite athlete, very, very good athlete, but it was her first Ironman. And she had she was down there with her family, and she's a nervous Nelly. Like, that's just her nature. She is nervous about everything. She doesn't like to fly. She doesn't like to, she doesn't like to do anything that really puts her in an uncomfortable situation. She's afraid of animals in the swim, all kinds of things. So she's a character. But she went down to race, and her bike, she has electronic shifters on her bike. Her bike was not working. And at first it was like, okay, it was just a little bit of this, like she played with it a little bit and it started to work again. Then it stopped working again later. And by now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. She has to have her bike checked in by 5. And she's at a bike shop, and they are taking her bike completely apart and rewiring the entire system because all of the wires have corroded inside. And this poor girl this is pretty much the worst possible situation that could ever happen to her. And she was in tears, and she was freaking out. And the truth of the matter is there's really nothing she could do other than that. Like, you couldn't tell her not to freak out. I would freak out. Everybody should freak out. But the lesson in the story is that the bike got fixed. She got her bike racked in time, and Ironman helped her out and got her racked up. She went down to the swim in the morning, and as soon as she hit the water, she was back in her element. And everything that happened the day before, all the craziness, all the insanity, all of that freaking out, didn't affect her race. Once she started moving, she had a great first Ironman. And it's just kind of a lesson of recognizing and always understanding that even though things may be challenging the day before, once you get going on race day, you're there and you're in your element, and this is what you trained for. So a couple of things to think about, like on the race course, on race day. Some of the indicators, I always like to kind of understand one of the things that things that set me off, or know when you're starting to lose it, because you will. This is the problem solving. So some of the things to kind of problem solve. The word hangry has been around for a long time, and I take credit for creating it, but that was 20 years ago. But hangry is a simple thing. It's like the Snickers commercial, right? You're frustrated with every crack in the road, every bit of wind, and that guy that just passed you wearing a Spider-Man costume, and you're hangry. You're angry with these people. These are things that normally you could care less with. You ride over cracks all the time. And it's very likely that you're just hungry and you need a Snickers. You've become Betty White and you're yelling at everybody. But the truth is, like, you need to recognize that. Like, you're not an angry person unless you are an angry person, which that's your thing. But chances are you just need some calories. You need a mental break. So give yourself the opportunity to get some food in, and know this: it takes 15 minutes for the food to work. So you may get an instant boost if you're really far gone, but more importantly, like, you now have a window to look forward to. Like, okay, I'm losing it. I'm going to eat something. I'm going to give myself 15 minutes, and 15 minutes from now, I'm going to be right back on it. And if you know that and recognize that that's going to happen, it's a big confidence boost. The other thing that can be really kind of frightening out there on the course is when you get to that point where you say, I'm done. You start to doubt that you can finish the race. You start to doubt that you're going fast enough to get to the bike cutoffs, or you don't think you're going to make it. And I say this to everyone, and I don't know all of you very personally, but the point is, you're going into this with your plan, and if your plan says you can make it, then you're wrong. You can make it. Maybe something's gone wrong to throw some doubts in there, but it's time to start to break the course down into small pieces. Give yourself small goals. Get to the next mile marker. Count your strokes in the swim. Follow a fellow competitor. Play the license plate game where you try to read different tri clubs from different states. The idea of following a fellow competitor, I think, is one of the best, because if you can find somebody that's running they're running just marginally faster than you, it's a huge opportunity to just lock into their run cadence and follow along and get into their rhythm, and it can save your day and give you that 2 to 5 minutes that you need to get out of your funk. And that's usually what it is. If you think about problem solving, it's the idea of somebody gives you a hard math problem. It might take you a few minutes to figure it out, but you'll come to the conclusion eventually. It's the same thing on race course. Like, find yourself in those mental lapses. It's 5 minutes. You need 5 minutes. In the course of the day, if you take that 5 minutes to pull yourself together, it's not going to affect you. It's going to help you. So that 5 minutes where you say, I took 5 minutes out, I need to just get myself together, that 5 minutes, taking that 5 minutes is going to make the rest of the day go that much better. So give yourself that time. Look at your watch and say, I need 5 minutes right now. And take that 5 and run with it, and it'll take you forward. So I've been talking now for 40 minutes, so I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to ask you guys all the simple question, which I think you all know the answer to, which is, are you ready? Are you ready for your Ironman? Are you ready for Ironman Arizona? Are you ready to jump into that lake? Are you ready to run across that finish line? It is going to be an awesome day, and you guys are all ready for it. So I'm excited to be out there to watch you guys race. We're here, we've got 10 days, and there's lots of questions and lots of things to figure out. And over the next 10 days, if we can help build your confidence, or help you with your planning, or help you with any of it, please reach out to me or the staff at Smile Train and take advantage. That's what we're here for.
Yes, definitely. Sorry, Earl.
That's okay. That's good. See how excited they are?
Yeah, we're so excited, and you can definitely reach out to myself, Sarah, or Lindsay. We are here for you. Phone, email, text us. We're here. We're ready to, help you in any way we can. We want you ready. You are ready.
Yeah, you are ready. You are ready. And if you need some distraction along the way, I always find these things. Take the first two or some fun things. Help us laugh at each other and realize that this is our hobby and this is a fun thing and this is a wonderful opportunity for you to give back to the world. But don't be shy about laughing at yourself a little bit. And then the last two are just articles that I found interesting and that I pull from when I talk about mental prep. The one is from Training Peaks, and the other one is a really great idea about changing your mindset from a woman that I coached for a little while named Allie Crum, and she's a brilliant psychology professor at Stanford, and she does a great TEDx talk, which I highly recommend. It's about 15 minutes long, but it's well worth the time. So that's it. If you can all smile like this guy on race day, then you know you're winning and you're having a great day. And I think you guys are all going to be prepared. So that's all I have for right now, guys. If you have questions or you want to raise a hand, please don't be shy. But if you don't, that's okay too. But we'll be here and ready to go as soon as you are. So feel free to reach out if you guys have questions now. If not, we can wrap things up. I'll let Christina kind of wrap things up, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Earl. That was wonderful. I know I definitely am super motivated for the week. We are going into a long week, headed out to Arizona on Tuesday, and getting everything ready to make your time there as easy and stress-free as possible. So thank you so much for that. I see that a few people have left, and I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. Definitely email if there's anything that comes up, or like I said, give us a call. We're all available to answer anything that might come up. So thank you again, Earl.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.